The following is a presentation of Muddy River News.
TI Trust stands for True Integrity. One of our core values that we had for our staff was integrity.
We want to be seen as a very integrity-driven company.
We've been doing trust services as an organization since the 1950s. It's all based on what's in the best interest of the clients.
At the end of the day, it's about serving that client and getting to a result that they need.
All right, hi, I'm Ron Kinscherf with Muddy River News, and welcome to the TI Trust Business Spotlight. Today we have Greg Wittland from Encompass Wealth Management. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you, Ron. Thanks for having me.
No problem at all. So, Encompass Wealth Management, the wealth part of it, do you have to have a certain amount of money for you guys to help them?
Yeah, great question. We do not have any kind of parameters as far as amount of money to start with to come see us. Like I said, with our 5 advisors in the office, we've got plenty of help for whatever level you want to be at.
So what exactly do you guys do? I mean, there's a lot of people that offer services, brokerage services in town. So how do you differentiate yourself and what do you actually offer?
Yeah, I think, so let's go with the difference part first, right?
Okay.
One of the big things is that I'm proud of that we're probably the only father-daughter team in town. I mean,
okay.
There's parents that work together, their kids maybe, but my daughter Michelle and I work together. We've also got Aiden and then Daryl and then Mike Giesing. So we've got those 5 advisors. But I think what sets us apart is that we develop our own models, for one thing, for clients if they want to use them. Also, I think that what makes us a little bit different is that we don't really have a set standard as far as everybody's to follow the same playbook.
Right.
For our advisors. I mean, if you know, and for our clients, I think if a client comes in and says, "Hey, I want to own Apple stock," we're going to let you know that's your prerogative, right? It's your money, and we always realize that our job is basically to help you manage your money in the best way fit to accomplish your long-term goals in life. Right?
When you mention models, though, what exactly are you talking about?
Good point. So obviously, you can go out and you can buy individual stocks or bonds.
Right.
You can use American funds or Franklin Templeton or
whatever mutual fund out there.
Funds are out there. So what we do is I basically in-house make the picks on how we want to invest our clients' money from being very conservative to being very aggressive. So we actually have 5 different portfolios that they can use if they desire to go that route. So I basically review those every 3 to 6 months. We make small changes if we want to. And then the other thing that we do, I think, which probably sets us apart from a lot of advisors, is that we have basically a downside. So if the market gets to a certain level, we're going to be out of the market. It's like right now we're out of the market.
Okay.
So we try to actively manage the downside. I'm not smart enough to figure out how to actively manage the upside. So if it's going well, we just let it go.
Right.
Set it, kind of set it and forget it for a while. But when it's on the way down, we will try to stop it from a certain loss level.
Now, do you create all the models yourself? You said you do it in-house, but do you take advice, or is there people in the industry that you follow, or? Well,
certainly. I mean, there's different resources that I use to gather my information from and to sort through and whatever, and also to follow, right? So yeah, it's just not simply Greg's pick today is.
Okay, but obviously your experience of a number of years plays a part of it.
27 years, almost 28 now. It's hard to believe.
Right. So a model it's a combination of a lot of different things, though, isn't it? So let's say I want to be in the ultra aggressive model. It's just not one thing within that. No, it's a grouping of things?
So yeah, basically we're probably going to have 15 to 18 different funds or ETFs. And there again, a lot of times when we get more aggressive investors, they'll say, I want to have a position in Apple or a position in Amazon or a position in Google or a position in Caterpillar. And so we will layer that on top of that. Okay. And that stays that's their pick. It kind of stands alone. We don't think with that till they tell us to, basically. But basically, yeah, so we're going to look at, I mean, the great thing about what we do, and most advisors have the same ability that are independent, that they can go out and pick whatever they want, right? And so that's the good news, bad news. So then from that, you have to sort through what you think are the best of the best based on what parameters you want to use, right? And that's what I do. Okay, so there'd be 15 to 18 different things. Now, I'm assuming there's a mixture of things that would just be cash related versus stock related, and then... Sure, good point. So based on where we're at, so let's just take, say, a middle of the road, a moderate investor, right? We're going to have a certain amount of money in the bond portfolios of some sort. Okay. We're going to have a certain amount into equities, and we always will hold some cash. And if you're taking money out because you're in retirement age or whatever, we'll hold more cash because we don't have to sell when the market's down, right? Right. Also, we can have, if you have situations where, let's say, 2 years from now, you got a kid's going to go to college.
Right.
That money's going to get parked safer.
Okay.
So we can within our confines, we can change up what we want to do for a specific client's needs, whether it be, hey, my kid's going to go to Notre Dame in 2 years, going to go to college, I need to buy a car in 5 years, whatever it might be. We can change those and put those to the side so it's not part of that overall investment plan.
Is there an age that, first of all, our age, is it too late?
Well, that's a great question. Here's what I tell people all the time, because our people say, come and, like, I wish I would have started. Well, you know what?
It's too late, yeah.
We can't change that. So the question is, what do you want to accomplish and why? So at our age, the question might be, okay, if you come to my office at 62, or as I am almost 66, and say, hey, I want to retire, I'm just going to get started, I'd say, well, then you better be able to be healthy enough to keep working, right? But for the most part, we're looking at our age and saying, okay, how can we protect our wealth? If I'm going to add to it, what should I use it for? Am I going to use it for my grandkids? Am I going to use it for Boy Scouts or a church or whatever? So we kind of try to figure out what your needs are going to be down the road to see how to invest. But it's never too late to invest. I mean, if you have cash flow available, the question is, how do you want it? There's only really three things you can invest for, right? Somebody you care about, something you care about, or you're going to give the money to the federal government. So that's really your three choices. So what we try to do is get rid of the third part.
So is there options in that third part, though, where, like, pre-taxable income that can be invested, or are there options to reduce the amount of tax you have to pay down the road?
Yeah, so great question. So we try to
That's the fifth time you said great question.
Yeah, because that's my redundancy.
I'm rocking
thing, right?
this.
Redundancy. So what we try to do is we look at multi-generational tax planning.
Okay.
It's kind of funny when you get to be older, and now you don't want to pay any taxes at all. You know, but you might be on a much lower tax bracket than your kids are going to be when they take your money.
Right.
They get your money when you pass away. So we try to talk about, for example, while you're living, qualified charitable distributions, what are called QCDs, which allow you to take money out of your IRA at a certain age when you turn 70 and a half and give it to your charity, and you don't pay taxes on it. So the charity gets it, they don't pay taxes on it, you don't pay taxes on it, so Uncle Sam doesn't get their cut.
And you're a CPA, right? I mean, how much does that play into your thought process when you're dealing with customers?
It helps because obviously I have that background. I'm also, as well as Michelle, we're both certified financial planners as well. So you have some of that background when you take that part of it as well. But yeah, I think it helps a lot because I at least can talk the talk.
Right.
Most of the time with about anybody as far as their general tax plan. Now, I'm not going to say I can do a deep dive, but I can definitely convey what we need to do as far as for most clients.
Now, we talked about people our age and the investment, whether it's too late or not, but, let's say it's a guy just getting out of college or a gal just getting out of college. Is there ever a too early standpoint to talk to you guys?
That's what really excites me, quite honestly.
Okay.
That's why I prefer not to have the asset limits, right? Because I love working with, and so does anybody in our group, but I love working with those young folks and getting them started because it's easy to show, okay, you start with X number of dollars a month, say $100 a month.
And you can start that low.
Start that low and add to it every year by 25 extra bucks. And you can, you'd be surprised in 40 years at 8% growth what you've got in your portfolio by simply not having a couple more lattes a week,
Right.
So that's how that excites me more than anything is getting those younger folks started on the right path.
And it's not a life insurance type thing, is it? I mean,
no.
That's not what it's more of a.
It's most of the time we're going to start them quite honestly, mostly probably on a Roth IRA.
Okay.
Because that's tax-free money when it comes out, whenever that might be. So that's what but there again, if they have a plan, hey, I want to buy a house, Greg, in 5 years, how do we get that down payment started? Getting that build up together.
Yeah. So is there, I'm assuming then you sit down with a couple and there's some sort of interview process, I would assume, that you use to find out exactly what their plans are, right?
Yeah, basically when I start, I'm the old school, I guess. I still use the yellow pad because I don't want to have a set, here's the questions you have to answer for me.
Right.
I want to see where it's going and then how we can help you from what you're talking about. We try to get the real feel for what the client needs are going to be. And especially if you got a couple, right? You always have one person maybe a little more dominant in the conversation, so I always try to get the other person involved and get them, hey, what's really important to both of you?
And how often does that result in a fight?
It hasn't so far. we haven't had that issue yet? No black eyes yet.
Oh, seriously?
None.
Even between you and Michelle?
Well, that's different. I didn't say that.
Okay.
I did not say that. I said between the clients.
But so I brought that up, but working with your daughter, and I know your daughter, a very strong-willed woman, I mean, how...
She's confident.
Yes. I have that in my family, too. So how often, though, is like you create the models, and she says, Dad, that's just wrong? I mean, is there any of that type of thing?
Well, no, I mean, basically what we try to do is, you're always looking for input.
Right.
And I'm never wrong anyway.
No, I know, yes.
But the fact of the matter is, I enjoy that input, and you have to have some of that give and take, right?
Right.
As far as that goes, I mean, there's a couple other guys in the office that probably are more in depth as far as the actual investment process goes. Michelle's great at taking care of the clients and doing the basic office management, as well as having a big client book, because we share the clients together.
Right.
So she's got her hands full, but she does a great job with that.
Getting back to the younger folks, do they need a savings account? Do they need money put away before they come see you? Because I know a lot of people, it's hard these days with inflation that there may be some married couples that just can't put money aside or a savings account. So.
Well, sure. Though. So the basic way we look at it is, first of all, if you're employed, if your employer has a 401k or some kind of matching program, we're going to do that first.
Okay.
After you've got your, and one thing we'll sit down and say, okay, Ron and Mary, how much money do you need as far as living expenses for 6 months?
Right. Okay.
That's going to be your emergency pool. That's where we put a guy aside first. But then after that, you've got to start getting the free money next, right?
Right.
So if your employer's matching you 3% or whatever, that's free money. You got to do that first. And then we start talking about, okay, what's the next step?
Right.
Then you talk about outside investing, whether it be through a Roth,
Okay,
if you
gotcha.
know the money that you need for a car or whatever, then we can do that at that. So that would be the general process of things.
So, you almost 30 years you've been doing this. So, I'm assuming you have some multi-generational now, where you help someone's father, now you're helping their children or mothers. How satisfying is that for you?
Yeah.
It's got to be cool.
It's really cool because when I started back in 1995, didn't really have a game plan, so I actually started with folks our age. Right? And so then I got introduced to their parents.
Right.
And so now we've got, actually in some cases, 4 generations, because now we're putting money for the grandkids into a 529 plan or into Transfer to Minors Act or whatever for the grandkids. So it's really cool to have 4 generations.
Well, and then I think it's got to be very satisfying for you to see, someone that started out with you 30 years ago and actually achieve those goals, whether it's a retirement home someplace else or being able to set money aside. I mean, that's got to make you, that's got to be the rewarding aspect of your work.
It's fun to see the clients that have done their own hard work, right? We're there to guide them. It's still their ball game.
Right.
They've got to do the work, but it's fun to see now because, as you said, I'm to the age where a lot of those clients are now retiring and getting to do things they want to do. And what's fascinating to me is seeing how many clients actually retire, and then a year or so later want to go back and start doing something just because they're bored at home. Right?
Yeah,
And there's nothing wrong with that.
No, not at all.
And we counsel about that, right? We say, hey, take 6 months off, don't do anything, and then figure out what you want to do. If you want to go back and volunteer, or if you want to go back and work because you want to, then do that.
You mentioned guiding people. I'm wondering how many times you say, this is the path you should go down, and they say, no, that's not the path I think I should go down. I want to be more aggressive with my investments, things along those lines. How does that conversation happen fairly frequently? And then how do you handle that?
Well, basically, as we always say,
it is their money.
It's your money. Our job is to basically say, here's the best fit for what we think.
Right.
And we'll help you out. And quite honestly, Ron, the real problem comes into play, and how I think we're the biggest value, when people start saying, I want to take money out for this or this, which is now a want and not a need, right?
Right.
And we say, well, Ron, here's what we talked about. Here's how this affects your plan.
Right.
If you do that, and it's still their choice.
Right.
But that's what we see more than in case of if they have in their brain a certain way they want to invest their money as far as a amount of volatility. We're more than happy to help make that work from their standpoint. It's more a question of counseling. Hey, how you're spending your money outside of this.
Thanks for coming in.
Thanks, Ron. I appreciate it.
All right. This has been the TI Trust Business Spotlight. Greg Wittland with Encompass Wealth Management Services. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Ron.
And we'll catch you next time.
TI Trust stands for True Integrity. One of our core values that we had for our staff was integrity.
We want to be seen as a very integrity-driven company.
We've been doing trust services as an organization since the 1950s. It's all based on what's in the best interest of the clients.
At the end of the day, it's about serving that client and getting to a result that they need.
Muddy River News. Our home, our news.